Welcome guys, it's Ralph here from Beyond the Hodl, and in today's video I want to walk you through an analysis on Ethereum, and if we have some time we can also take a look at some other altcoins. So let's get started. So remember in yesterday's video I introduced the idea that we wanted to split up our analysis into two different categories. You want to do the anticipatory stage, which is stage 1, and then you want to do the execution stage, which is stage 2. Now in stage 2, we're not going to move into stage 2 unless we're ready to actually take a trade, right? So there's a lot of different tools that you're supposed to use at that part of your analysis that are completely different to what you're supposed to be using in stage 1. If you don't have this in your trading plan and you're not separating between the two, or if you're only ever in the execution, and I'll go into what it takes to be in each one, then you don't have a full trading plan that will help you really predict the market profitably, in my opinion. So the first stage, in case you missed yesterday's video, it's more of like your sentiment. So you'd want to focus on your on-chain, your fundamentals, your hash rates, anything that has to do with the blockchain and the health, right? You want to follow the smart money positions. So we use the COT in order to do that, and I'll touch up on that a little bit. But if you want a full breakdown, make sure you watch yesterday's video. And then that's the type of stuff you're gonna find in your stage 1, right? Your anticipatory stage. That's also the SMPDT. That's the only part of price that we'll be using for the anticipatory stage. Now, when it comes to your execution, it's exactly what it sounds like, right? It's things that are more closely related to price. So, like, what is the current sentiment right now, right? I'm not gonna touch into the tools that we use in our course, but you know, what do you guys use? Do you use indicators? Do you use pure price action, patterns, candle patterns, liquidations? Do you use maybe some closer to the market on-chain stuff, and many other stuff that you could choose from your arsenal in order to get your trade. So again, we're not even going to touch that until we have some sort of a set. So now let's go ahead and remember that if we want to be buying an altcoin, we also want to generally be buying whenever we're bullish Bitcoin, right? So I don't know about you guys, but the times that I've been trying to buy when I was actually bearish Bitcoin, so I was consciously saying I'm bearish Bitcoin, but then I tried to buy an altcoin, I ended up getting burnt in the long term. Sometimes you do get a little pop in the altcoin, or as I'm going to show it in a little bit here, you get a huge rally in the altcoin to the tune of 111% that Ethereum went up while I was bearish Bitcoin. But then when you study the price action a little more closely, you'll see that it was actually a lot more correlated than you know, just what meets the eye initially. But again, then you'll see that although you could have been right, it's more consistent when you say to yourself, I'm bullish Bitcoin, then I'm going to buy an alt, rather than I'm bearish Bitcoin, let me buy the alt, okay? So let's go ahead and start with the fundamentals first. Like we said we would, right? In stage 1, we want to focus on the anticipatory stage. So what type of fundamental am I going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about the hash rate, and this is actually something that I forgot to talk about yesterday on Bitcoin. And again, my theory here is that there's a very tight, close relationship between the hash rate and price. Usually the hash rate leads price. There's other times where it might lag price, and if that ever happens, it's an even more interesting sign, because you have to question, well, why are a bunch of miners causing the hash rate to go higher, but price is not following, right? Is the price lagging, or is someone lying in the sense of, oh, these miners should not have switched to this blockchain because the price is not going to recover, right? So there's like a little game that goes on when miners allocate their resources to a certain coin, and they're not always right, okay? They can allocate resources and end up losing money in the long term because the coin actually ends up losing value. So as you can see here, back in our April 23rd analysis, one of our big reasons why we wanted to be bearish is because we saw some weakness in the hash rate. So the hash rate actually peaked before price. Sometimes it's very subtle, like a 1 or 2 day thing. Other times a week, and sometimes it's a month's thing. So That's the lag that I'm talking about. And again, usually the hash rate precedes, so it comes before the price. So that made me believe, hey, I'm starting to see some weakness in the positions for the smart money, the traders that we follow in the commitment of traders report, and then now I'm seeing the health of the blockchain also decline. So this time around, you can see that the Bitcoin hash rate has not recovered, right? So if it's at 95, and we went to as high as 171 back in May after dropping in April, which this is the divergence I was talking about earlier. You can see that the hash rate completely recovered. It actually made a new high. If we go back to 6 months, that was actually like a new all-time high. Yep, maybe. Yes, that was a new all-time high that happened in May. But yet the price didn't make an all-time high in May, right? If anything, the price came back. Look at this right here. You see? So the price is coming back for our premium, right, for the quarterly open. And again, remember, as soon as it crossed below the quarterly open, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, that made me bearish Bitcoin, which should have made you bearish Ethereum. We'll go over why you, again, based on SMPDT, you could have maybe stayed bullish. But nonetheless, you could see that there's something wrong. The hash rate making a higher high and the price not doing so. So now we're having sort of, now we have the price making a lower low and the hash rate making a lower low. So you got to ask yourself, if this up move right here is really a healthy, if this is the low, maybe you should probably be looking for the hash rate to recover, right? Now, how long is the hash rate going to take to recover? This is fundamental type of analysis, right? Do you have any insights as to how quickly the Chinese miners are going to move their rigs to a new country? When are they going to be up? If you can predict that type of stuff, which again is very, unless you have the connections, you'll never be able to do it. Unless you know someone working in the area and you have some insider information, the best that we have is we have to wait for the hash rate to recover and then be followed by some strong price action. Now, again, people could bet on the price first and then the hash rate recovers, and that's kind of the scenario in which you'd see the price recover first and then the hash rate, right? Because people would be trading on that future information and that insider information that they have. So actually the hash rate today hit 87 if you look right here to your left. So it's even lower now. When taking a look at the Ethereum hash rate, right, this is part of our fundamental analysis that we want to do for Ethereum in order to predict the future price. We can also see, I mean, this thing, it hit an all-time high back in May 20th. And that was another interesting thing, right? As we can see here, when did prices peak? Well, prices in Ethereum peaked at May 12th, which coincidentally is exactly when, a day after the Bitcoin hash rate peaked. So that's something interesting there. But that was another divergence. Why did the hash rate of Ethereum keep going higher, but the hash rate, but the price peaked a full 10 days before, right? 10 days or so before. I'll let you guys figure that one out, but again, something did not make sense. Were those miners wrong? Or did they all pile in at the very high because they thought it was going to go higher? Again, you will never know, but based on price, you knew that something was going to be peaking. Now, before I start talking about the current price and what we expect next, again, remember the SMPDT, right? So I was talking about here about always wanting to trade my altcoin in the same direction as Bitcoin. Now, I understand that I got out of the market on April 23rd, and April 23rd was basically the low here on Ethereum, and then Ethereum went on a tear for almost 20 something days, right? So while I wasn't in on that move, I was okay with missing out because I've been burned so many times, like I said earlier, trying to buy an altcoin when I was bearish Bitcoin. But when you take a closer look, check this out. The SMPDT model, right? So using the open of this quarterly, that's the purple line here, we had gone below it on April 18th. Check out what Ethereum did on April 18th. It had slammed into the daily demand, but more importantly, when it used the daily demand as support, for those of you that have studied your SMPDT, you notice that this purple line, that's the quarterly open, and you're still above the quarterly open. So what does that tell us? We're finding support at a daily demand, because you see it bounces off for a couple of days. while we're above the quarterly open. That suggests that as long as we hold here, the swing low, swing high, that's your discount, that's the gray box, right at the daily demand, as long as that holds, so you can make a bet there, I would say I bet that the quarterly candle is going to close bullish because we cannot go below the quarterly open. That is much different than what happened here in Bitcoin, which was we go above the quarterly open, we slash right through it. So had you asked me, what do you think about Ethereum? Remember, I never was bearish Ethereum. Had you asked me, I would have said the flow of the SMPDT is still bullish. However, I'm not going to take a trade. Okay, now I explained earlier why. But had you taken the trade, obviously, you know, wherever you took it, you know, you have your 10, 11% stop, 13, 14% stop, and then it went up for 97%. Now, the reason why I did, to kind of solidify my position here is I didn't know how high this retracement was going to go. Okay, so this retracement here on April 25th, it correlates perfectly with when Ethereum was able to expand right here. See, so it had to consolidate for about 6 or 7 days while Bitcoin kept making a new low, right? Now, had you correctly guessed that Bitcoin was going to turn here, and we had some signs as to why, but again, even when it came here in the 26th, I don't know how high it's going to go. The only thing that I know is I have a supply zone here, and I have a swing high, swing low premium there, and I have my quarterly open here. So it can either stop here, the supply, you see here, it kind of acted like it was going to turn around, and then it had the quarterly open here. Those are my two resistance levels. I don't know anything except if it hits one, it might reverse. If it hits another one, it might reverse. But one thing I did know using the smart money was, you see, as we were going higher, I could see they kept selling, right? If this line goes lower, you see this red line? That's your shorts going higher. While your longs, although they did kind of go up a little bit, which makes sense, right? Because price had to go up. So longs are going up, shorts are going up, but then your net position is declining. What does that tell you? That means that the smart money, the large players that govern the market, were, although they were buying, because that's why the market went higher, they were selling more than they were buying. That's the only way your net position can go lower. So again, you see, those type of insights are really important for you to understand, and that's why I did not buy this up move. I have not taken a position to this day for over 2 months now, and that's why I didn't take advantage of this 100% rally in Ethereum. I would much rather trade with the smart money, or at least with Bitcoin, right? Because sometimes this lags, as we saw back in January, right? So they were bearish here, but you didn't get your price action signal till April. So I would much rather trade with this than trade against this flow and with the altcoin. Because check this out, right? If you knew that it was going to go back to the quarterly open, by all means, and that could have been an educated bet that you could have taken. Actually, there's nothing wrong with that. I just didn't want to take that risk because I knew the minute we hit our resistance in Bitcoin, wherever that was going to be, it was going to die. And then what do you see? Well, Ethereum falls 60%. 60%, guys, in a matter of a week and a half, right? So let's see right here. Yeah, it falls 60% in 1 week. This weekly candle fell 52%, and you got to add this one. So in about 2 weeks, it fell 60%. And that's exactly what I'm saying, right? You don't really ever know how deep that retracement is going to go on Bitcoin, but that little tiny 1 or 2 weeks of up move caused this entire 2 weeks right here of 100%. So now that you guys understand that the SMPDT was still bullish on Ethereum while it was bearish on Bitcoin, now we can try to see what is the current SMPDT on both, right? And that's why, again, anytime I buy any coin, I have to always know what Bitcoin is doing. So currently, the SMPDT is bearish on a quarterly, so my purple line is bearish on Bitcoin. It's bearish on the monthly on Bitcoin, so you see Q, M, and the yearly is bullish. So bearish on the quarterly, bearish on the monthly, bullish on the yearly, right? That's our current look. Our SMPDT on Ethereum is bearish on the monthly, because for the past 3 weeks we've been below it. We're hovering between bullish or bearish on a quarterly, which is actually really interesting. And then we're bullish on a yearly, right? So if I'm bearish on a quarterly on Bitcoin, what am I supposed to be on Ethereum, right? I want to lean towards being bearish if the SMPDT is also bearish, and it's because it's right on it. That means I make no decisions right now, right? That means I wait my 7 days, right here. I wait my 7 days to the month to end, and then I can start to see what. Well, how will my SMPDTs develop, right? Are we going to use the July quarterly open / monthly open as resistance? Is it going to be used as support? Is my hash rate going to start to increase? Is the Bitcoin hash rate going to start to increase, right? Is there any other fundamental, like using a Glassnode on-chain data that I can find? And we might cover those in the future. But that's the type of stuff you guys got to be thinking, right? It's much less about, I'm excited that something's being released on the Ethereum network, as opposed to, is the big money actually buying, right? Can I actually pinpoint people buying, not just, oh, Tesla bought and there's some rumors? Because again, the entire time Tesla was saying he was buying, I could see that the smart money was selling. You see this right here? The entire time Tesla said he was buying. Was that a PSYOP mission, right? Was he trying to get rid of some of his, which actually we know that he sold $200 million worth of his. Are we gonna find out at the end of this quarter that he actually holds, that Tesla holds no stock or no Bitcoins? Who knows, right? It is in my opinion that I believe we're gonna find out that they don't hold any crypto, and that might actually send the market falling even further, right? That might be what sends us to 25K, 20K, and hope, and maybe it'll send us here. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment, guys. Again, I want to make these videos to kind of give you guys an inside look at my head. It's going to be a lot of conversation, so you guys can start thinking like the smart money, and you guys can see kind of how I process information week in and week out, right? So one thing that interests me right now is there's a weekly demand here, right? So you can see right there, that's a weekly demand. Let's get rid of that daily demand. We see a weekly demand hit here, and look at that. You had a nice little bounce, but now it hit again. And remember, I was not interested in buying this bounce because I don't want to be buying the bottom side wick of that month. The same way I don't want to be buying the bottom side wick of this month, right? I want to wait for the new candle to open and see how it's going to react off next quarter's open. If we lose that, I mean, if you were to ask me, gun to my head right now, the two things I'm looking for in 7 days is I want to use the quarterly open as resistance. I know some of you who are currently in positions don't want to hear that, but I would be looking to use the quarterly open of July as resistance, and then we're going to drop to some sort of discount here, and that's why I have drawn out this zone right there. You can see, so that's your 78%, that's your 61. So that could happen. Again, what would invalidate this? When July opens, we start to see some increase in hash rate and some other on-chain indicators that we use, and then we would use the open as support, and also see Bitcoin hash rate reverse, right? So that's all the time we have for today, guys. I'm not going to touch into any other altcoins because we spent a long time talking about this. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with only buying the altcoins when you're bullish Bitcoin? Do you not care what Bitcoin is doing if you're buying your altcoins? Or how do you guys handle things? You know, I am open for a discussion there. So if you like the video, make sure you thumbs it up. Make sure you share it with family or friends. And let me know what you guys think. So with that being said, have a great day, guys, and we'll talk soon.